Hi guys, it's me again. For those of us who are my personal friends, you guys all know I was a pretty wild product of the 80s. I got a lot accomplished socially in the 80s, we'll say. And there's a Clash song with the title, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Should you stay or should you go? I had a video about ending abusive relationships. And by the way, I had some nice feedback on that, so thank you. Today I want to talk about, abuse can be so subjective. It can be so hidden. It can be so well done by people that people don't understand abuse is happening. In abusive relationships, when we talked about that, that was just outward, somebody who hit you or sexually exploits you or monetarily exploits you or mentally every day, says you're a crappy human being and all that kind of stuff. This is different. Today I want to talk about the subtle stuff you need to look for when you are deciding, when you're at a point in a relationship and you're trying to decide about somebody, are they worth it or are they not worth it? And you really don't know. You're on the fence. Okay, first hint for you, if you're ever on the fence about a relationship, then the answer is you need to leave. Any relationship that's good and healthy and benefits you, you just know. It's not, you don't have to question, I don't know. It's kind of, they're sort of okay, but when you have a good relationship with somebody, it's not something you question, doubt, nothing. It's just easy. It's an easy thing. So first hint, like I said, if you're ever on the fence about whether you want to break up with somebody or divorce or whatever, just remember, the fact that you're on the fence is hugely significant. Some part of your brain has got you to that on the fence place. And that's good, because it's starting to make you now question the rest of the stuff. So should I stay or should I go? Probably, let's take children out of the equation, okay? So if you have children, take them to the side. What are the things you look for about staying with somebody or not staying with somebody? There are super abusive, negative people that you don't even realize are abusive or negative because they do it so well. Now, I'm going to try to make an example here. You just got your hair cut, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and you come bebopping in, and you don't say anything because women learn if they say, you like my hair right away, the man automatically says, oh yeah, it's great, because he doesn't want to fight. So you don't say anything, and finally, 3 hours have passed, and now you're getting frustrated because what do women do now? They finally say, well, you obviously don't like my haircut because, you haven't said anything for 3 hours. So let's say somehow you bring up the conversation about your hair, and your husband says, oh yeah, it's good, Now, honestly, when Jackie wore that, it was a lot better. And let's say Jackie is his ex-wife. Believe it or not, that's a little bit of abuse. It's a little tiny tendril of abuse, but that's one of the things these really skilled professional abusers are good at, is never making it seem like it's quite abusive. You spent your day off of work just ransacking the house, and it looks just the best it's looked in 3 years, and it couldn't be any better, and your husband or spouse, it could be the opposite, walks in and you don't have to say a word. They say, wow, you've obviously been busy today, and you go, yeah, I cleaned the house, and they go, yeah, it looks pretty nice, and they've got that sound in their voice. Doesn't sound too sure it looks pretty nice. Did you do the laundry room too? Because that place is the real disaster. Okay, so what they've just done in one fell swoop has negated that you just clean the rest of the house, whether you clean the laundry room or not. I tell people who come to see me for my personal practice, Reiki and stuff, that if they really don't know if somebody's abusive to them or is being mean to them, or I tell them that every time that person says something that's just even minorly upsetting to them, write it down. Immediately leave the room, go have a running tally somewhere and write down all those things. I busted my ass for 8 hours, cleaned the house. Husband walks in, gives a backhanded compliment about the house, and then asks if I cleaned the laundry room because that was the real dirty part of the house. Okay, is that a terrible statement? No, but if you've cleaned the house for 8 hours in a day, would you expect somebody to come in and say, wow, it really looks great in here? Of course you would. Any human being on the planet would. So the fact that he can't even say it like that and then has to tack on that laundry room stuff, it's pretty crappy. Another example, you're going out for the evening. You've got a red dress and a blue dress. You can't decide, or guys, you've got a shirt, whatever, you can't decide between. I apologize, I'm a female, so I'm usually going to tell things from a female point of view, but obviously it can go both ways because I've seen women abuse men. And you just can't decide, and you just can't decide to save your life. So you put on the blue dress, and the truth of the matter is you look good in both of them. And you put on you ask your husband, oh, I don't care, wear whatever, I don't care about your clothes, blah, blah, blah. So you put on the blue dress, and you walk out, and you're getting ready to go out to eat, and you're driving in the car to the restaurant. Your husband says, I was surprised you picked the blue dress because the red dress just goes so much nicer with your hair. And at that point you want to punch him in the face because you asked him which one he liked better. He said, don't worry about it. You look good in both, or I don't care, wear whatever you want or whatever. But then he does that backhanded crap after you picked the one that honestly you thought he liked better. That's why you picked it, because you thought maybe he liked it better. And then he can't even give you a real compliment about it while you're driving to the restaurant. He's got to tell you how you made a mistake. You should have worn the red one. Meaning something's wrong with you because you make poor choices. Those things may sound minor, ladies and gentlemen, but those things have a domino effect like no other. Having 10 small, shitty things said to you every day that you can't quite say to somebody, well, he was being mean. I know he was being mean. That you just weren't sure if he was being mean or not. That's all abuse. Just some people are so much better at it than others. So when you're thinking about staying or going with somebody, start tallying up the moments that are good and are bad. Start tallying up every crappy backhanded thing he says, like the blue red dress thing. But if you have good moments too, write those down too. I'm not trying to flip you at being out with somebody, but the fact that you're questioning it is already a red flag. And it's easy when you're so used to people doing this to you to kind of fluff it off when they do. Oh, that's John. John's always acting like that. Because you've been doing it for 20 years. So it's second nature for you to excuse that boorish behavior. It's much harder to excuse it when you have it in front of you on a piece of paper. And at the end of a week, you have, 39 things crappy he said to you during the week. 39. It's harder to ignore that piece of paper because that's tangible proof. It's not, oh, I heard it wrong. Oh, I think he was getting ready to sneeze, so his voice sounded, all the excuses you use for somebody's crappy behavior. A piece of paper doesn't pay any attention to that stuff. The piece of paper just tells the truth. This is what he said. This is what happened. So it's more objective, and that's important to read those kind of things. Maybe you've put up with a pattern of abusers in your lifetime with other relationships. That doesn't mean you have to keep doing that. There is really nobody on the planet, and I'm talking about even disgusting, awful, evil people, because, their karma is going to come. The reality is their karma is going to come when they go back into the spirit world. It's not going to be nice for them for a while. Nobody deserves to be belittled every day of their life. Write down also what your significant other does for you positively. When you're thinking of staying or going, here's an example. A good list about John. Sorry, any Johns out there. A good list about John. John goes and gets the ice and snow off my car in the winter when we have snow and ice before I get up in the morning so I can go to work and I don't even have to do it. Okay, that's on the nice side. That's very nice that you don't even ask him. You know, it's an automatic. I come home with groceries in my hand and I open the door and my husband yells, "Do you need some help?" And I go, "Yeah." And it's not a 10-minute delay of him finishing whatever he's doing. He immediately comes around the corner and goes out and helps you bring in the groceries. That's a good thing. Those are the kind of things I'm talking about that are simple. They're not kabam in your face. They may have no meaning to somebody else, but they have meaning to you. They show thoughtfulness. They show consideration. They show that that person has good feelings about you because they want to do nice things for you. You know, and then on the flip side, your husband gets off, you know, he goes to work an hour earlier than you does. You do, excuse me, he does. But he gets up even an hour before he has to get up. He's, you know, my husband's one of those people. He's a very, very early morning person. I am not. You know, so your husband had plenty of time to do anything to be helpful. And he basically went out before he had to go to work and he scraped off his car and then he put the snow scraper and just like set it on top of your car so it'd be there for you when you came out. That's crappy. You know, if he doesn't want to do your car, then put that snow thing back in his car like he never even saw your car. But don't set it on there like that's being helpful. When he had all the time in the world and he knew you were really sick last night and you coughed all night, you didn't get a lot of sleep and you're already going to be miserable at work. And then you walk out and see the oh God, what do they call it? The snow brush sitting on your car. Those things all add up and they all have meaning. And, you know, when you say them to somebody else, they sound so petty, don't they? Well, you know, he didn't wash, you know, get the snow off my car. And, you know, people are like, oh, suck it up. You can't do it yourself. That's not the point. The point is not whether you can do it yourself. The point is he didn't even have the consideration to make an effort or hide the fact that he wasn't going to make an effort, I guess, by putting the snow brush on your car. These things have to have meaning to you. You know, what I would put up with from my husband is very different than what you'll put up with from your husband. Because I know our relationship. I know what we've given each other back and forth. I know the good and the bad. And I know the good outweighs the bad. But, you know, your thing, you may tell me and think whatever you tell me is silly. Well, he did blah, blah, blah. Isn't that dumb? You know, I don't know why I'm mad about that. Okay, but are you mad about it? Whether I get it or not is irrelevant. Because I'm not you. You know, your sister's not you. Your mother's not you. Your cousin's not you. It has to have meaning to you. You have to start telling the things that have meaning to you. The things that your spouse or significant other does that affect you. Even if it's just a little bit. And so start tallying that up for a couple months before you decide you're going to stay or go with somebody. And really look at that. It can be super eye-opening, honestly, to realize at the end of 2 or 3 months, you have 6 things on the good thing about him, and you have 172 on the bad side. That's pretty telling. And here's the problem, too, with somebody who's what I call a subtle abuser. They've been doing it a long time. They're super good at it, and they have been doing it a super long time. And not only women, but people, particularly in the health profession. You know, my husband's a nurse by trade, so he understands this part of fixing. Women generally want to fix people. They want to fix people. And healthcare providers are 4 times worse than a general woman because they've been entrusted to fix people. I mean, that's their livelihood is fixing people in the healthcare arena. And you're one of those people. You know you could fix him. You've been with him 17 years and you know he's kind of a turd, but you know deep down if time goes on you can fix him. Okay, how much more time are you going to take out of your life to fix him? Because it's been 17 years and he's not any more fixed today than he was 17 years ago. And B, that's great. You know, maybe your husband or spouse is ultimately a really nice human being. They just got some crap going on they got to get figured out. Well, here's what you do in those moments. And people will disagree with me. I don't really care. Have your own opinion. You know, people will say, well, I would never abandon my husband at that time because, well, no. That's not that time. It's been going on for 17 years. You're not abandoning him over something that just happened now. You know, your husband just had an affair, had a one-night stand with somebody at a bar last weekend. And it's the first time in your marriage it's ever happened. I'm not advocating you stay with somebody who's cheated. That's between you and your husband. I'm saying that's a sudden, all of a sudden, one-time deal that tells you that there's a problem in your marriage anyway. And can you be forgiving of that act? Yes, you can. Lots of people forgive their spouses because they also recognize there were some dynamics going on in the relationship that maybe just kind of headed it that direction. That's a right now, just happened, non-pattern type thing. For 17 years, your spouse has been doing all the pattern stuff, constantly belittling you without being in your face, the red, blue dress thing, as opposed to saying, God, you look shitty in everything you wear, They don't have to be obvious. It just has to be subtle, but it still has to hurt your feelings. It still has to hurt your feelings. And this has been going on 17 years. This person's been hurting your feelings. So at this point, what you do is you leave with the caveat, and you may mean this, and it may happen and be true, that you know he's a nice human being. He's just got some stuff he's got to take care of. He's got some therapy he needs to do. He's got some figuring out he needs to do before you can be with him. And then you leave. Easier said than done? I know. I mean, I was a single parent. I know what it's like to be a single parent. It's not very glamorous or fun. I understand that. Struggling, I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, too. Struggling is much easier on your body, soul, spirit, mind, than somebody who makes you feel less of a human being every day of your life. Because when you struggle, it's all about you. It raises you up. It makes you perform. It makes you figure things out. Staying with somebody because you don't want to struggle is like a slow death. It's like living with cancer, but it takes 50 years to kill you. So instead of, and I'm not fluffing cancer. My mother's had cancer now 4 times. I mean, I've dealt with many cancer patients. I'm not fluffing it, so don't say I'm laughing lightly about this. But it is much different to have a cancer that you struggle with for 7 years, and then it gets to the bones, and now it's painful, and then they put you on pain medications, and 2 months later you die. It is different to have that kind of cancer than this other slowly eroding cancer that just won't completely kill you off, and it goes on for the entire part of your marriage. So if you're unlucky enough to have been married 45 years to this person, it's like living with cancer for 45 years with this person who does nothing but make you feel awful every day of your life. And by the time you died, you're going to have been in misery for 45 years of your life. That's how that is for people. That's what that's like. It's so toxic to your body as well. So I've told you before how many people have physical symptoms because of mental stuff. Millions, not even thousands, millions. So should I stay or should I go by The Clash? I don't know. Should you stay or should you go? The only way to make those decisions is to remove yourself out of it in a way and be objective. And the only way you can be objective is to record things or write things down or wherever, where when you're out of the heat of that moment, or you're just out of that moment, period, you can read something later and see what the meaning was to you. You might write something down and read that list later and cross something off, one of the list of the bad side, and cross something off because you were honest enough with yourself to think, you know what, I had a really bad day at work that day. I came home. I knew before I even asked my husband a question how he was going to answer it, and it was going to piss me off, and I still asked him anyway, and he answered it like I thought he was going to piss me off. Well, then you're taking responsibility that maybe you set yourself up for that one. So you cross it off. If you think that, if I had just played that natural, he wouldn't have done that. Cross it off. That's fine. But really start looking at your 2 lists as time goes on and see which one's the bigger list. Whenever one's the bigger list should be what you use to decide which way to sway on if you should stay or if you should go. Just don't ever stay in something that's not good for you or your children, but particularly good for you, because you've got this one life this time around. You got lessons to learn this time around. So make sure you get the most out of it, because it's going to be gone before you know it, and before you're off onto your next adventure in your next life. So you want to get what you can out of this one. And the only way that you do that is to live and your authentic self, be your authentic self, and live with people that are good for you and your soul. So good luck to you. I I hope the outcome for you is good either way. Pass this on to somebody who may be on the fence with somebody. Give them a little food for thought. And until I see you next time, thanks for watching. Bye.